Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Beastly Eel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the latest episode of Invincible. So in this episode, it was divided up into two parts. So the first part was Invincible, aka Mark, and Adam Eve, aka Eve, trying to have their first date for like the 40th time. So they're in Paris, and all of a sudden, there there's a portal that opens up. And Mark's like, please don't tell me there's a portal that opened up. And she's like, no, there actually is. He's like, great. So out comes the thieves of the Declaration of Independence. So they basically explain to Mark like they need him to help out to defeat their ruler in their future of Earth. And he's like, I really don't care. I don't want to be involved in it at all. Like I'm trying to live in this moment, and I don't think it's a good idea for me to go see the future at all. So they seem to agree until all of a sudden they hit him with the time and space scooter and knock him into the future with them. So, um, so it gets kind of wonky from there. So he goes into this dystopian future where pretty much everyone on Earth is a prisoner, and their king is the one who's basically keeping everyone in line. So during that, we Mark's trying to figure out who it is and everything else. Well, while they're flying around, there's a Mark that when a portal opens up, takes his clothes, and Mark's just like, "Hey, why do I look sadder?" And he's like, and the guy's like, I wouldn't worry about it. When it comes to the future, the less you know the time travel, the less you know, the better. And so he's kind of just like, oh, okay. So they fly through and they're seeing all these. Basically, all the people on Earth are terrified seeing something fly over them because apparently the thought is it's patrols trying to keep everyone on curfew. And Mark's like, curfew, it's still daytime. And he's like, yeah, nobody's allowed to go out, period. Um, and so that big thing too. So we have that going on, and then we have them going to. They're being then attacked by these robots who are the king's guards, who Mark destroys without a problem. And then the guys are like, "Hey, by the way, like we needed them to bring us to the king." And he's like, "Oh, why did you say so?" And he's like, "We didn't get a chance to. You kind of just did it without us knowing." And so all of a sudden they start going through that. They then get captured. Um, their Invincible's being sent to the king, while the other two are being sent to execution. And they explain like, "Oh, don't worry about us. We'll be fine. Like we can deal with this." And so Mark goes into the throne room, I guess you would say, and it is none other than the Immortal. So Mark's like, "Immortal, what are you doing?" He's like, "Why, nobody's called me the Immortal for centuries." He goes, and so he's like, "Mark, you've returned." And he's like, "Well, I'm not the Mark you know. I'm like the Mark. I'm the Mark from the past who apparently came here to stop you." And he's like, "Why did you leave?" And so we find out that apparently Mark took over Earth, and then left with who we're assuming is Eve, and told the Immortal to keep track of everything. And so because of that, we have that going on, and Mark's trying to like not want to know what happens, to be honest with you. And the Immortal's just like, I don't want this burden anymore. I should never have been the leader. Like this was not meant for me. And he's like, well, why are you doing all this stuff? And he's like, I'm trying to do this stuff to get you back here because I'm done. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being alive for so long. And he's like, well, what about Kate? And he goes, Kate who? And he's like, Kate, the girl you just got engaged to. He goes, I've had so many wives, and I've outlived them all, that I can't keep track of all of them anymore. And so I've just given up completely. And so Mark's just like, well, then what do you want from me? And he's like, I want you to end my life. End my life, and it will all be over. And Mark's like, no, I refuse. And so the other two escape, go into the throne room as Mark's being attacked by the king, and Mark just doesn't want to deal with it whatsoever. He, the king, then tries to go after the two of them. He then smashes him down to the ground, rips off his head, and is basically like, here you guys go, I'm done. And so they go to bring him back to the present. Before they do that, Mark's got to use the portal to get his clothes, which then brings him back to the date with Eve. And Um, so yes, so that big thing is going on, and so he gets back to the date. Eve obviously knows that something bad happened. He doesn't really want to talk about it. They then go have fun. Basically, they have sex, and then it cuts. So that was like half the episode, and end credits happen, and we're like, what? And then all of a sudden, we get the other half of the episode of um, Alan the Alien and Nolan. So Alan basically, we find out that they've been trying to execute him for months, and it has failed hundreds of times. To the point where they've given up on the executions until they can figure out a way to remove him. He's trying to convince Nolan to join the rebellion. Nolan wants nothing to do with it, and remain there to be executed. So the Viltrumites come in to execute Nolan. Alan is not thrilled with it. He decides that he's going to try to stop it. He breaks himself out along with every other prisoner, including Battle Beast, who then is looking for a worthy foe, and he promised them Viltrumites. So they go crashing through. They get lost a little bit, but they eventually find Nolan and the two Viltrumites. They begin to fight. Um, Alan is being bombarded with attacks from one of the Viltrumites and gets his face bashed in. And that's when Nolan gets mad, rips out, and starts fighting the Viltrumites. They begin to fight. Alan's like, hey, do you think Battle Beast will be able to survive space? And Nolan's like, I don't know. He goes, well, we're going to find out. And he smashes through the um, the ship, and it turns into an outside battle. So Battle Beast and the other Viltrumite kind of disappear into space, fighting each other, while we have the other Viltrumite versus Nolan and Alan the Alien. The two of them take out the Viltrumite by both punching him in the head on either side and smashing it into nothingness. Alan's like, we gotta get out of here quickly before they send reinforcements. And Nolan's like, no, there's no reinforcements. Like, how do you know? And he's like, I know because there's only 50 of us total, um, pure blooded ones left. He goes, that's our big secret. He goes, so because of that, we can't be everywhere like everyone thinks. So the fear of us is what is enough to keep people in line, and the fact that we can't really actually take over like we used to. And he agrees to join the rebellion with Alan. So Alan the alien is super happy about this, and that, my friends, is how the episode ends. We have an after credit scene of Battle Beast and the Viltrumite still fighting in the vacuum of space. So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens in the next couple episodes. It looks like Eve and Mark are fighting together in the next episode. So we'll have to wait and see about that. But overall, let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not? And why? And as always, if you like the content you see, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a wonderful night. Bye bye.